Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Modern Customer Podcast. I am your host, Blake Morgan. My guest is Tiffany Menyhart, the Chief Customer Officer at the Hershey Company. The Hershey Company has 20,000 employees worldwide, and the company has more than 70 brands around the world that drive more than $11 billion in annual revenue, including beloved brands like Hershey's, Reese's, Kit Kat, and more. Tiffany joined Hershey as Chief Customer Officer in March 2025. She is a visionary leader with 30 years of experience in CPG and sales, including 15 years in confection and snacks at Mars Wrigley. She joined Hershey from Kraft Heinz, where she delivered profitable growth, transforming strategic accounts and elevating customer relationships. She's collaborated with all kinds of channels and partners, including Walmart, Sam's Club, Kroger, Albertsons, Costco, Instacart, Dollar General, and many more. Tiffany has a passion for building strong teams, people development, and leading transformational change. Tiffany holds an MBA from Northwestern University's Kellogg School of Management and a BA from Vanderbilt. Her interests include yoga, golf, food, and travel. And today we are talking about all things CCO. You're going to learn all about what she's been up to in her time at Hershey and so much more. Please enjoy Tiffany Menyhart. Tiffany, welcome to the Modern Customer Podcast, all the way from Pennsylvania today.
Yes, that's right. I'm here in Hershey, PA, Blake. So excited to talk to you about customer experience.
I know. And I've got to get over to the amusement park that I understand you have there. I mean, how would you describe, is it Hershey Park?
It is. We have
Yes.
Hershey Park here. It is so much fun in the summer for families to come all from all around the area, bring their kids, stay at Hotel Hershey or the Hershey Lodge, and take advantage of. I was actually surprised. I was there this summer with my family. We have so many roller coasters in the park, and they're really fun. It's awesome. And we just finished up our Halloween event there. So the park was all dolled up for Halloween, and now we are in Christmas light season. So we're continuously looking at ways to delight our customers and our consumers, even at Hershey Park through our entertainment company.
I love it. So we have a lot of ground to cover today, Tiffany. I'm so glad that we connected and you're here because your background is so interesting. When we were chatting before the podcast, you were just so operations focused that for someone like me that's been studying customer experience for 20 years, customer experience to me is very much rooted in how you run the business. And you have run so many different types of businesses with this operations perspective, but also with the customer focus from Accenture to Wrigley to Mars to Sodexo to Kraft Heinz, and now in this new role at Hershey for you. I mean, did you always know that you would have this kind of like hardcore business background, but also focus on the customer?
It's funny, Blake. What I knew is that I had a passion for people and for problem solving. And so, I grew up with a dad who was in sales. He owned a small business here in the state of Pennsylvania, actually right near Pittsburgh. And I learned from him that no matter, what you did in life, you always had to be in sales and you had to sell yourself. So I think that kind of set me up for certainly having a passion, right, for our customers and our consumers. And then also, there's a way that we can reach customers and consumers that really drives excellence in the industry, makes it easier for them. And that's really where that operations comes in. And so obviously over the years, whether I've worked in supply chain operations and or retail merchandising operations, being able to take those best practices, look for efficiencies, and look for excellence in execution is really core to what I do and really core to what we do here at the Hershey Company.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what you're doing right now at the Hershey Company. I'm not sure people realize how broad your scope is, and there's been a lot of change. It's an exciting time for you and for your team. You have a new CEO, you have a lot of growth you're seeing across the different brands. So, how do you define the role of CXO today?
The role that I'm in as Chief Customer Officer, I need to be the voice of our customers and our consumers internally within the organization. I would say, we're B to B to C. So, in the majority of cases, we are selling through a partner to reach our consumer. So, it's really important in terms of how we represent our retail partners, our distributors, our wholesalers, and make it easy for them to do business with the Hershey Company and make it seamless for them to get Hershey products to their end consumer or their shopper.
Absolutely. I mean, the whole make it easy thing. I mean, it's all about no matter what you're doing. Like your dad taught you when you were a kid, like selling yourself and also letting people know whether you're dealing with your colleagues, your customers, like I'm here to make your life easier and better. And I'm on your team. And I just love that idea that your dad taught you sales early on because I think that's something that a lot of chief customer officers they need to remember every single day that you're selling customer experience too. You're selling the idea of caring about customers.
You are. And also, what you said really resonates with me too. I have to make it easier for my team to do their jobs, which is getting our fantastic Hershey products into the hands of our consumers easily and so that they can find them, right? I mean, think about it. We're in an impulse category. It has high expandability, which means the more that's around, right, across our confection business, our salty snacks business, or our protein business, the more people like it and they want to consume it. So, how we merchandise products at retail, how we merchandise them working with our pure play retailers on websites and/or our .com arms of our big retailers, that's really important for us to be able to unlock conversion. That's great for Hershey, it's great for the consumer, and it's great for our partners. So I have to make sure that I'm representing not just our customers, but also our team internally here at Hershey. I can get them the tools that they need. I can get them the supply that they need so that they can go out and really optimize and accelerate growth for all of our partners.
I'm not sure that people really realize that if you're in the grocery business in any aspect, like having that prime shelf, and you say you're in the impulse business, like I know for me, and I know you sell a lot of products like popcorn and protein bars, but I mean, I feel like chocolate is your like the iconic when people think of Hershey, they think of chocolate. Like chocolate is a mood boost. It's a pick me up. It's not something that you need all the time, but I know like when I need it, nothing else is going to make me happier than a little piece of chocolate. Let's talk about culture for a minute. Let's talk about when you got started and like your leadership style. Not always easy to navigate a new role in a big company. What were some of the things that made you successful? Let's even say in the first like 30 days as you assimilated and also help create this culture.
Sure. So, my leadership style has always been very strengths based, and I like to get to know people on an individual basis. I say that because when you're creating a team, you need all different types of strengths on that team. So, the first thing I wanted to do was to get to know our team members. Really, in my first 100 days, Blake, I spent out in the field. I spent at our national sales meeting. I spent at some of our biggest industry events like our Sweets and Snacks Expo, listening to the team and listening to the customers to understand where I could add the most value. And then I also have spent time building trust, right? Trust with the team and the customers, but more importantly, and I'd call it a team that has psychological safety where they feel comfortable sharing ideas and sharing problems and also leaning on each other, right? Because I personally don't have every solution in the world, but I'm very confident that the team that we have around us can solve most of the problems that we face together. And so to be able to foster that type of teamwork and collaboration is really core to Hershey. It's certainly a behavior that we have embraced over a number of years. So keeping some of those pieces of Hershey that are really important and that the team members know and love, and then also bringing some new ideas that are more transformational. I mean, at the end of the day, and I was sharing this with the team yesterday, the world isn't standing still. It's probably, I would say, and I think you would say too, Blake, moving much faster than ever. And we need to figure out how we accelerate, not only catching up, but leapfrogging the competition, leapfrogging our industry, and providing solutions for our partners that are relevant to them as they navigate these changing times.
Yeah, it seems to me just looking at your career trajectory, like you really specialize in the operations of running these large companies and doing so efficiently and successfully while also thinking about things that it's not easy to think about psychological safety at work and creating a work environment where people feel comfortable and they have innovative ideas that might they might be celebrated, they might not be. So they might be nervous to share their ideas. So I think like having that operations and business focus while also creating this welcoming positive culture is just not easy to do.
It's not easy to do. I always think about this. I shared this early on. I think it was in maybe even my first week at Hershey. There's a quote from Maya Angelou, and you probably know it. Many people have heard it, but it goes something like, people forget what you did, people forget what you said, but they don't forget how you made them feel. And I think it's really important, especially coming into a new company with a very special culture, that you listen first, you can understand where the team has been, and then help instill that growth mindset, and again that area of psychological safety, so they feel comfortable moving into the next horizon that we have as we advance our transformational journey here at Hershey.
Yeah, I feel like in the last year, culture has been sort of left behind a little bit just with the focus on the scramble, I'll say, to incorporate AI and technology. And like we said, the world is spinning really quickly. And so the culture conversation, it can be left behind. But I think now with all this change, like your employees are your greatest asset, it really matters more than ever. So we talked a little bit about tech, about the future, but let's talk about the future of customer experience. What is exciting to you about what's happening on the horizon?
Well, yeah, we have a few things that I'd say, we're definitely focused on in terms of advancing our customer experience. I'll start with some work we're doing, and we kicked off about a year or two ago in our retail merchandising teams. So we talked about ensuring that we're working with our retail partners, and this would be in a physical environment, so in a brick and mortar environment, to get products where they matter the most to our shoppers, where they see them, and they can convert product that's sitting on a display or a particular unit into a basket and into a sale. So we launched an augmented reality tool with our merchandisers, and we've got about 600 merchandisers now that are able to use this tool. You can walk into a store and you can literally see, if I put a display in this space, what would that look like? Does it work for the key decision maker or the store manager? Would it be in the way of shoppers and their carts? And also, based on where it's been historically, what type of unit lift and dollar lift would this generate for the store? And then our team members can actually show that with the key decision maker at retail in order to come up with a win-win solution. Again, win-win for the store, win-win for the shopper, and win-win for Hershey. That's one example of, how we're really bringing technology into this space. And again, that's helps our customer experience, our retailer, as well as our consumer experience as well. They can find the products, and they're also in the right spot, not in the way of their shopping journey.
I love that.
As Yeah, which and again, it's really fun, and our reps have really enjoyed using the augmented reality. As I'd mentioned, about 600 of them are using it right now. And another thing that we've done, if we think about the digital world, right? We've recently partnered with one of our key retailers that operates in completely, what we call pure play environment, so all digital environment, to enhance their user experience and their customer experience on their site. We did this specifically during the Halloween season to advance seasonal sales for this retailer over 40% for the season, which is fantastic. We certainly did things like optimize search on the website. We had worked with the retailer with key insights in terms of early selling season. So the retailer opened the site and had the seasonal merchandise for Halloween ready to go in June, if you can believe it or not. So they took advantage of some of the early sales of Summerween. So that's
Mhm.
another example of how, we have to bridge that physical world and that digital world. And so we look for ways to do that to continue to drive our joint businesses with our partners.
Okay. And it sounds like you're obviously testing innovative technology. Do you have any kind of AI task force inside of the company, or how does that work? How does AI work inside of the company?
Yeah, we absolutely do. We have a number of work streams across different functions. So certainly our supply chain has a lot of advanced capabilities they've recently implemented to help drive efficiencies and ensure quality across our manufacturing business. We're also using it, again, I've mentioned with retail, our retail merchandising team. And we're constantly looking at ways that we can leverage that with upstream in our commercial functions like marketing. So
Mhm.
another great example, and I think I might have shared this, with your group the other day when I was on. It
Yeah,
used to
CXO
be
house.
Yeah, the CXO house, which was great to meet a lot of the members of the CXO house. That was awesome. But one of the things that we realized in traditional consumer products, it could be a very long lead time to get something to market. And we just talked about the fact that the world's not standing still. We got to move faster. So we're now using AI in order to drive different images when it comes to innovation, when it comes to pack size. We can do that via AI and put those concepts into virtual tests today. Whereas in the past, you'd have to go through a process. You'd have to have a design company or a design agency create the designs for you. You would have to create them into prototypes. You'd have to put the prototypes into consumer test. So, I mean, ultimately, you're shaving months or weeks even off of various projects by being able to get the consumer feedback early to know, again, where we can expend our resources that are going to drive the most excitement for consumers out there in the marketplace.
I love that. Thank you. I have to ask every guest on my show what they're doing with AI because I know my listener is going, but you didn't ask the AI question yet, Blake.
I
um,
knew you would ask it, Blake. I
I'm so
knew.
glad you knew and you
Yeah.
came prepared. So, the interesting thing about your product is you really rely on partners. It's a huge aspect of how you run your business. Talk about the retail partner strategy this year and any exciting plans you have beyond this year.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that certainly attracted me to Hershey, and I've known for many years, is that Hershey is regarded in the industry as an excellent category advisor and category partner. So, what does that mean? That means certainly we're looking for solutions that, of course, it's great when it benefits the Hershey Company, right? That's why we're in business. And we'll talk a little bit more about our mission, but it also benefits our retailer and their entire category. Hershey's been known for that in the industry. We're continuing that today, and that's all grounded in data and insights. Where the consumer's been, where the consumer's going, how the consumer's best shopping, both a physical set as well as a digital search page. We are bringing those insights to the partners today. Where I think we're going in the future, number one, we're going to do that much more quickly, right? As we look at bringing multiple data sources together into one pool to drive faster insights to action, not only across marketing, sales, and category leadership, but think about all the way back through our integrated supply chain. Right. So it really takes us working across the company as an organization in order to move the needle there. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we're working really hard to anticipate what's coming. So rather than being reactive, we want to be proactive. We also want to create custom or bespoke insights for our top retail community because we know that the way shoppers shop in one retailer or what's important to them looks like a very different shopper segment than a different class of trade. So we have to be prepared with custom insights and multi-year plans to drive our business. So if you think about a couple of examples there, frictionless checkouts and seamless checkouts have been around a while if you think about an Amazon Go. But we are finding that a lot of retailers want to test them. They want to know what the store of the future looks like. And then in a store of the future like that, how do you sell impulse merchandise in that space that once had a manned checkout and a huge front end? That might go away in the future. We have to be prepared with the right solution and one that can be implemented over a multi-year time frame. Another example is that retail's become so experiential. So if you think about some of the need states of our consumers, and you talked about why people come into the category, maybe why someone reaches for a chocolate bar, it could be to unwind, it could be because it's comfort for them, it could also be because they're connecting with loved ones and it's a
Mhm.
holiday or it's an event, it's a birthday party. We want to take those consumer need states and bring them to life at retail in an experiential way. For our retail partners, if they're operating a great .com site, they can do that pretty quickly, right? You're able to go out there, you can get the right taxonomy, you can have the right display space, and you can merchandise the right products together. If you're managing mainly a brick and mortar situation, which is, still where the majority of our sales come from today, overhauling a retail environment to capture those need states and do it in an experiential way, that takes time. So it takes investment and insights. You have to test with them. And then that could be a multi-year strategy to evolve that shopping experience within that retailer and for that shopper.
Yeah,
So those are a couple of spaces where we're going.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, moving pieces. It's almost reminds me of, like, it just has so many tentacles like an octopus. I couldn't think of the word octopus for a second there, but it's like, as chief customer officer of a company with many products, like, many groups, it's just a lot to manage, and I know, like, you've had so many different experiences that have all led you to be able to do this job really well, but it's not something you could have just graduated from college and become chief customer officer of this large company.
Now, you definitely learn a lot as you navigate through the industry. And, what I was actually just talking to a woman who is part of our digital team, and she shared with me her background. And I got to tell you, I loved it because she took the time to get different experiences earlier in her career. And I love getting that breadth of experience. So she was part of our retail merchandising team that I described before. She's been, working across different classes of trade, like our food business, our drug business, and now she's in our digital business. And I love that because that's the type of experience you need to get in your career in order to get to some of these spots and feel comfortable doing it. Once you get to chief customer officer, chief experience officer, the expectations for how you're able to lead and how you're able to inspire the team change drastically. So drawing from all of those years of different experience is incredibly helpful.
It's so important because there's nothing like lived experience. And the older I get, like the more I realize that, like, you just can't fake those years and just going through, and honestly, a lot of failures.
Yeah, the other thing I'd say too, even though you have experience, especially in today's environment, you still have to have curiosity. And
Mhm.
that's something that I also encourage all of our team members to have. Asking the questions of why, asking the questions of what if, asking the question of, hey, could we do this better? And if so, how? And even if it seems like a crazy idea, I mean, think about it. I actually remember back in the day testing confectionery with Uber about 10 years ago. And it might have not worked all that well and all that smoothly. But now think about where we are 10 years later with Uber Eats,
Yeah.
right? Or DoorDash or an Instacart. These are businesses for us. We call them our on-demand businesses. I mean, these businesses are up over 30% year to date, over 60% over the last few years. And we need to be able to meet consumers wherever they are and whenever they want our products. And that's really what that whole demand space on demand space is about these days.
I mean, even as someone, I'm sure you travel a lot, like being able to be in your hotel room. Also, like, this sounds silly, but when you're alone traveling, you don't always want to go out to dinner. So, like, I'm so grateful for Uber Eats because I can order food to my hotel room, or I can order Hershey's products to my hotel room by myself and enjoy them. And I mean, we live in such an exciting time. Let's talk a little bit more about digital growth, omni opportunities. I mean, it's a lot to wrap your head around. But I mean, any thoughts on how other listeners that are struggling to come up with an omni channel or digital strategy? Any tips for what made you successful?
I mean, I think a couple of things. Number one is it's okay to trial and test and learn. And you should be asking your partners to test and learn with you, right? So it's not something we can do in a vacuum. I mean, hey, look, we run a direct to consumer site, and that's great, where you can purchase Hershey products. But we also know that how consumers want to get their products really differs. And as I'd mentioned, if you think about the rise of this on demand space, that's where I'd say highest growth rates are coming from, even though it's still a small base today. But when I think about some of the goals of our partners, we have one partner who currently reaches about a quarter of the US population in less than 2 hours. And they have a goal over the next 5 years or so to reach 75% of the US population in 2 hours. So it's recognizing that, gosh, as you mentioned, the consumer wants convenience, and oftentimes they want to purchase something at 9 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, 1 in the morning. Stores aren't open. So
Yeah.
that's the future of how a lot of our consumers are going to get products, and we need to be on the forefront of that. So I think it's listening to where your customers are going and then being bold enough to say, hey, we're going to work with you. We're going to help drive insights and we're going to invest with you to get to where we need to be in the future. Otherwise, you're just going to get left behind.
Yeah, there's a saying about customer experience that customer experience is a game of inches rather than yards. So right now that delivering that product in under 2 hours, it might be a small portion of your business, but in 5 years, it might be half your business. And that's why the difference in a customer experience leader and laggard could be like, very small, but it matters. So let's talk about operating with something I've read that you really succeed with, which is B2B to C. The business is complicated. I mean, there's, like I said, it's like an octopus with many arms, and there's a lot going on. So, how does this B2B to C mindset help you thrive?
Yeah, look, I would say we have to recognize certainly we're serving our retail partners, but ultimately we're serving an end consumer. So the first thing I need to do is make sure that when I'm launching a product, whether it's innovation, I'm changing a pack type, that I've done enough consumer research to know that it's what the consumer wants. I also need to know who I'm targeting, right? So if I think of just basic marketing principles, what's the value proposition of the item and who's my target consumer? Then I need to understand what they're doing today to satisfy the need and how we're going to get them to buy our products that could also satisfy that need or a need they don't even know they have yet. So the first thing I have to do is I have to ideate and create items that the consumer wants and generate demand with the consumer. The second thing I have to do is not just convince the consumer it's good for them. I have to convince the retailer that it's what the consumer wants, and that I'm able to merchandise it either in their store or on their site such that the consumer will buy it or convert it and it will translate into sales for them. I think the other thing that I'm really, right now having the team focus on this, it's one thing to understand how things show up within the categories that Hershey plays. And we could say, hey, they should dedicate some more space to this segment in the category, or we should expand this, warehouse salty snacks to look like this. We also have to know, and that's good because that might be what the consumer wants. But when you're selling to a retailer, we need to understand how the solutions that we provide impact their total P&L. Are we adding more profit? Are we taking profit away? If we decide to change adjacencies in the store, if we decide to change, which is where products are merchandised next to each other, if we decide to change space allocations in the store, that's going to impact that overall retailer margin. And so again, Hershey's fortunate. They have been trusted advisors for many years, but we're often asked to have a seat at the table to help understand not only how our solutions impact the category, but how it impacts the retailer's total P&L. And so that is a big difference versus just selling direct to consumer.
Yeah, I think thinking about what makes your retail partner successful and their P&L, like you said, is really really huge. We're nearing the end of our time together, Tiffany. Let's talk a little bit about how you carry the legacy forward of Hershey, which is such an iconic brand, one of the most iconic brands in the world. How do you carry that legacy forward while leading the sales team into a new era of innovation, digital transformation, and evolving customer expectations?
Yeah, it's so great. You're right. We have just incredible, iconic brands. We also have a lot of new brands that we've added to the portfolio that are on track with consumer trends. So when you think about our protein business or one in fulfill bars, protein is up double digit and everyone's looking for something with protein these days. You think about our salty snacks businesses, which you could consider better for you. Dots Pretzels, number one pretzel in the category. Skinny Pop Popcorn, number one ready to eat
Yeah, we eat a
popcorn.
lot of that.
Thank you. Thank you, Blake. And certainly our Pirates Booty, which is really great for families and kids.
Yeah.
We have a blend of those iconic brands like Hershey's and Reese, and then these new brands to satisfy all our consumer needs.
And they're
I would,
gluten-free, by the way. Thank you. My son has
yes.
celiac, so really appreciate
Oh,
the,
yes. Thank you.
popcorn and the booty, Pirate's booty.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right. They absolutely are. And so, we want to make sure we're honoring what makes Hershey so special in those iconic brands, and then that we're also innovating for the future. So, if you think about one of our most recent launches, we just launched Reese's with Oreo, two iconic brands coming together in collaboration. And really, in Q4, it's delivering one of the top items in the entire category across many classes of trade. It's been a huge success. for us and for our retail partners. We're very grateful for their support on that. That's one way of looking at the business. And then there's other things that we're doing, like again, under Dots, we're coming out with Buffalo. And people who go to Dots love bold flavors and spice. So what's better than Buffalo pretzels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are a better for you alternative than a chip. So so I would say we're absolutely thinking about how we can constantly bring news into our business. And the other thing I'd say, we're really getting ready to honor. I mean, our whole company is so excited. We are going to honor the legacy of Milton Hershey. So if you don't know the story of Milton Hershey, the whole world's going to know the story next fall or winter when we launch the Hershey movie. And this has been something that's been in the works for the company for a number of years, but it's a fantastic story of Milton Hershey and his wife Catherine Hershey and their philanthropic efforts. The whole reason the Hershey Company exists is to fund the Milton Hershey School. We have 2,300 kids across 37 states there. And those are kids that have financial or socioeconomic needs. And it's just a fantastic place. We actually held our leaders forum meeting over there yesterday, and we got to spend some time with the kids, and they had the choir out there. And it's quite humbling, is what I'd say. And the fact that that you're working for a purpose-led company, and we have a purpose to make more moments of goodness for all of our consumers, for the kids, and for all of our associates. It's that is something that binds us together as a team. And so that's where I'd say, like, you have these iconic brands, you've got new brands, and you really have a mission-based organization, and we're all marching in the same way so that we can deliver, again, moments of goodness to our consumers, as well as ensure that Milton and Catherine's legacy lives on.
Yeah, these stories really matter of how these businesses were created. And it's so important to incorporate the storytelling into the brand. So even younger generations know because it's like even and every family has to tell the story, the origin story of like where did we come from and like what are our traditions and our values. I love that. But before I let you go, we have to have fun. Now we got to talk about you with rapid
Okay.
fire. What's the most important part of your morning routine?
I go to the gym every morning. So for me, that's the most important part of my morning routine. It grounds me. I feel fantastic. Even if it's just 30 minutes, I'm on a Peloton. I'd prefer to go to Yoga Sculpt when I can, which is a super high impact yoga class in a hot room. But if I get that in, then I feel like my energy levels are higher all day, and I can show up and I can kind of handle anything thrown my way.
Love it. And what do you do to relax at the end of a hectic day?
Uh, well, I'll tell you the things I love the most. I love spending time with my 16, almost 17-year-old son, Maxton, and my husband, Mike. So we've been married for 20 years. And, especially when I get home after a long week, hanging out with them, having something to eat, and just catching up on a long week is what certainly makes me feel happy and content, and unwind in a long evening, in a long week.
Right, because you live in Chicago and Pennsylvania, is that right?
Yep, I live in
Okay.
Chicago. I spend a lot of time out here in Hershey with the team, and then I also spend a lot of time out on the road with our customers, or at various conferences that we have in the
Mhm.
industry.
Love it. Okay. What show are you currently streaming?
Ooh, one that I've been into recently is Bad Sisters. Have you seen Bad Sisters?
Yeah, the Irish. Yeah.
Yes.
But
Yeah. And it's funny because I normally don't love the dark humor. Like, I'm kind of an Emily in Paris girl. That's
Mhm.
usually the genre that I would go to. Emily's gone dark on us for a little bit, although I hear there's another season coming out. But in the
Okay.
meantime, I've been into Bad Sisters.
Yeah, that I do like that dark humor for sure. What is one mental health strategy for managing hard days?
Um, I mean, I said definitely exercise. I think also, I'll take a pause if I need
Yeah.
it. If I need to look at my calendar and I know I'm just back to back to back, and I'm like, you know what? I need 30 minutes of just me time, whether that's walking around the building, saying hi to people, getting some energy back. Maybe it's grabbing a cup of coffee or just chilling out and, reading some emails and making sure I can get my head on straight. I think for me, it's the ability to know when you have to create space for yourself and you have to hit the pause button.
Love that. It's so, so important. I think as you have more responsibilities, more people depend on you, doing that is increasingly important. What's your favorite type of vacation?
I'm a beach vacation girl.
Got
Yeah,
it.
love beach vacations with my husband and son, and we also love to golf. So we're a golf
Hmm.
family.
Nice. If you could have lunch with anyone, dead or alive, Tiffany, who would it be?
Uh, um, gosh, I mean, I respond the same way every time, but it kind of gets me. It'd be my dad. He
Hmm.
passed away 11 years ago, November 20th. So that would be someone that I would love to see and spend some time with.
Yeah, so you're thinking of him. And lastly, if you had to describe your outlook in one quick motto, what would it be?
Um, you know, I'm glass half full. I'd say. Some people are glass half full, glass half empty. I'm usually glass half full, and I look for alternatives, and I look for ways to come out of even a tough situation in a better spot. So I think for me, it's trying to approach things as glass half full.
I love that. Simple but profound. This has
Mhm.
been so fun, Tiffany. I hope to see you soon. I'm going to take my kids over to that Hershey Park in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and I hope you'll come back and be on the podcast next year to catch up.
We would love it, Blake, and thank you so much. And we'd love to have you and your family here in Hershey, PA.
All right. Well, that sounds great. Well, thank you, everybody. You've been tuning into the Modern Customer Podcast. Until next time, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like or subscribe and follow my social content on other platforms where I post content daily, including X, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and more.